Let's go, baby. It's time for the fucking stream. Just bear with me while I get my fucking link out. Just 1 second. I've thought a lot about this stream. Let's teach DGGers, Destiny fans, about boundaries. I don't think I'll be successful, but it's still a conversation I want to have. It doesn't specifically have to be about them, but I want to talk about some things. I want to talk about, first of all, what I'm going to be talking about. I wrote a letter to Mr. Girl, Max. I posted it in his subreddit. And I knew that I would get a lot of feedback from people I didn't understand. And I knew there'd be trolls. But I really wasn't prepared for the sheer amount of fucking insufferableness. It's truly insufferable. Mind you, these aren't Mr. Girl's fans. These are Destiny's fans. I am a big fan of that game, Claw. 1997 Claw. A very good game. Big part of my childhood. How I feel, this is how I feel. This is how I feel right now, guys. This is how I feel.
Hold on, ma'am. Now look here, you snag mouth motherfucker. I'm on the phone with the dentist trying to get you some teeth so you can eat some solid food. Keep on, you lizard.
I love that fucking clip, dude. Yeah, dude, the music for Claw is really good. It's a really, really great platformer. 1997. It's got these really great cinematics, really great story. It's like a kid's game, but it feels real intense. Really great art, great atmosphere. The only thing I really hate about it is there's so many of these optional puzzles to get like 100% that are time-based. So you get a pickup and you have to, it like lasts for like 30 seconds and then it makes you jump higher and you have to get to the spot you need to jump higher. And it's just, it really takes a lot out of the game to have to keep being forced to like rush, but it's a really great game. I don't like that one part though. Anyway, let's get to my letter. I wrote Max a letter. I posted it in his subreddit. I didn't want to send it to him privately. Oh man, this is a tough topic for a lot of reasons. It was a tough letter to write. Somebody says, I should start to teach them about basic empathy and human emotions first. I think you're jumping a few steps. Yeah. I thought about that for the title because it's definitely going to be more than about boundaries. But it's just not good for a title. Man, I'm already getting flustered just thinking about this. Let's go. It's going to be about boundaries. It's going to be about my relationship with Mr. Girl. Relationship dynamics, professional relationships, boundaries. And it's going to be about me. That's what this stream is going to be about, these things. Okay. Reddit. Dude, I am not a big fan of Reddit. But, it is what it is. How can I do this? How about I move myself? Here, like that. Yeah. I'll keep myself small for now. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm going to read it to you. Once again, I'm writing. So this letter wasn't just to Max. It was also obviously intended to be public. Once again, I'm writing an incredibly embarrassing letter to you on your incredibly embarrassing subreddit. Grab your popcorn, horses and horse fuckers. I've been learning to not swallow my emotions out of shame. Evicting my self-imposed mental blocks has been making me a lot smarter. I've been thinking about our relationship. I have a lot of shame and embarrassment about it. Some people are ashamed to be your fan because they can't admit to their friends and loved ones. I have no such shame. My shame is worse. I'm ashamed of my love for you because I believe that it can only hurt me. I've tried to suffocate it as if you're a woman demanding to be protected from my feelings. It's very hard for me to access negative feelings about you if I'm struggling to pretend that I don't have positive ones. It gives you a weird advantage in our conversations. You've expressed shame about being loved, and part of it is me protecting you. But more than that, I believe that you will never love me. So I punish myself for it, as if it's a parasite to be burned off my flesh. People have mocked me as if I'm pining for your approval. The peanut gallery makes things much more confusing. It's like looking down a corridor in a funhouse, trying to find the one true mirror. I found it. I'm not pining for your approval. I'm vomiting my shame on your carpet. You deal with it. I'm already feeling more negatively about you after typing that out. Little tingles. I had more to say, but I want to let that sit. It actually took a lot out of me. I don't want to cheapen it. Love, Seth. P.S. I'm getting messages about people wanting to jump ship to my subreddit. Ha ha ha. I hate Reddit. I rarely use it. Okay. That's my letter. I do enjoy the upvote has been like a battle for supremacy. So yeah, and some of the trolling is like fine. Like this I think is funny as fuck. Like, dear Mr. Girl, yeah, dear Mr. Girl, I've wrote you, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell, my pager, and my home phone at the bottom. I sent 2 letters back in autumn. You must not have got them. But probably was whatever. Maybe I'll do that another time. Okay, but blah, blah, fuck you. Okay, let's get back to these. Okay, first let's read what Max had to say. Before we get to people's conspiracy theories and fucking insane shit, insane drivel, reframing, redefining, recontextualizing to paint any type of narrative. Dear Seth, it seems as though you intellectually understand that boundaries are important for your safety and well-being, but emotionally, they are very painful for you. You may feel ashamed of not being in control of our relationship and your own feelings. I think I make you feel like a child, which makes you feel really bad about yourself. Max. And then I replied, this is kind of the beginning. I'm replying to someone in chat. This is the beginning of this interaction. I mean, this is an ongoing dialogue sort of between me and him. I said, yeah, there are moments I'm starting to pick up on in relationships where someone sets a boundary with me and I immediately coalesce and my mental state instantly switches like a trained dog. I'm left thinking to myself, where did I go? That's what I'm trying to vomit out. Your response is appreciated. I'm laying in bed crying right now because I'm able to feel it all. It isn't just you, obviously. Thanks. So what inspired me to write this letter is hearing Max talk about how shitty the subreddit was and how it's filled with autistic, extremely literal, sociopathic behaving Destiny fans. So I was like, that's the perfect place to be provocative. What's the most provocative thing that could possibly happen there? And on top of that, I've been trying to, stop repressing things that are like holding me back. They cause me cognitive dissonance. Every time I talk to Max, I feel like I am becoming retarded because I'm stopping myself from thinking. And so this is a big part of that. So I started just vomiting up, trying to write it and make it into something. It was pretty short. There's no issue with anything that's happened here, but now a lot of these people seem to think that there's a big issue here. They're gonna be really helpful to me. They're gonna make sure that they're trying to help me, right? Okay. Well, where should I fucking start? I don't know how much of this I'm gonna read. Yeah, a lot of it is just like insults, like someone writing a letter as if whatever. It's just trolling. That's like whatever. That's fine. All of it's fine. All of it's fine. I expected it. All of it's fine. I mean, I don't like it, but it's fine. But I want to talk about it. Hello, Smeth. Pardon the intrusion. If it's all right with you, I have some things to say about your open letter. This one wasn't so bad. This was actually a pretty interesting and thoughtful reply here. I thought. I didn't totally agree with it, but it was thoughtful. See a therapist, my man. Okay, I remember this thread. Okay, let's get into this. Why did it change to some weird view here? I just want to open up See a Therapist, my man. Let's open it up. There we go. Okay, see a therapist, my man. I do, but in case you didn't know, this is exactly the type of thing you do in therapy. It's like you're asking me to go to therapy to undo therapy. Okay. Perfect place to fucking sink your teeth in, because there's a little bit, if you are bad faith, there's something you can interpret there the wrong way, and then create a whole argument, a really toxic, annoying argument that, like, a lot of these things is like people almost intentionally misinterpreting or assuming the absolute worst thing in the most obnoxious way, autistic way, like, but autistic, but not like sociopathic, like intentionally looking for the worst possible way. So obviously I don't think that a therapist would tell you to write this letter and then post it online in front of a bunch of trolls. A therapist would tell you to have these types of dialogues, have this type of conversation with somebody in your life, and think about these types of things. That's obviously what I was saying. I wasn't saying that a therapist would tell you to post this online. Obviously. Brother, there ain't no way in any fucking universe a therapist would ever tell you to post an open letter about your obsession with a Z-list content creator in his toxic cesspool anti-fan subreddit where you're going to be mercilessly mocked and shit on. So, like, a lot of the DGG logic is often that I expected it. That doesn't mean that, like, you are okay. Like, it doesn't mean that you are not toxic if it's to be expected. Like, I was expecting you to be toxic so that I could talk about it. So I'm allowed to talk. I went into it wanting to talk about this. I wanted to see how much I could actually have a conversation, and I wanted to see how fucking sociopathic these people really are. So I was interested. And it's not that I'm complaining, but I am dissecting. And I want to illuminate exactly what this community is actually like. Okay. Look, so someone in my chat said, Ruby just said, I can see how he has some problematic behavior, but I don't think he's a terrible person or predator. Okay, yeah, I'm sure all these people are, like, fine. It's this context where they're behaving like this. This is where they go to be this, and it's not the people that are just like the outright trolls are, like, kind of funny. It's when they are like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, because as if they care about me. Like, why are you arguing with me about what a therapist would do? Like, if you're actually concerned, like, your first thing, like, you see somebody, like, let's say that you see somebody post this letter on Reddit, and you're concerned. It's going to be like, ha, you fucking moron. A therapist wouldn't fucking tell you to do this. You're such a fucking moron, and you deserve everything that comes to you. No. That is literally just the co-opting of these, of the framework of somebody who's trying to help you. Hey, just trying to give my 2 cents. I think that, like, you have an obsession with Max, and you're hurting him. He's your victim, and you're crossing his boundaries. I got a lot of that type of shit here too, which is why I made another post. So there's a follow-up post, which is much more detailed that I'm going to go into. I'm going to have to read my whole fucking post, and I made it all beautiful and well formatted. We'll be looking at that. Okay. But first, I just want to go over some of the responses to this, the immediate responses here. So, yeah, so I have an obsession with Max, and a therapist would never tell me to act on that or something. Okay. This guy, Wordbird. Oh my God. It's these types of people that trick me into fucking talking with them forever and ever. And especially if you're a Wordbird here and you can really go on and on and on. Every time I explain something, you ignore any point that I'm trying to make, pick out something I'm saying, and then use that to construct an argument that really, you're just saying, you're not constructing an argument that contradicts something that I'm saying. You're using it to construct a criticism of me as a person, something I'm doing wrong, but in the framework of trying to be helpful, but you're just trying to tear me down and explain why you hate me. Or why I am bad, or why there's something wrong with me, which is really just extremely abusive behavior. It's like the people that are just trolling, it's like, it may piss me off sometimes, but it's like, fine, like that's totally whatever. But this really, and I can't, these people can spend so long writing this shit, and it takes so much time to fucking, they'll like to warp everything you're saying. So now I'm obsessed with Max. My therapist would never tell me to do this. Like, they're ignoring the fact that I have a pre-existing relationship with him. This is part of an ongoing conversation. And this is not against the boundaries of our relationship. This is like a normal type of thing. And I have to, they create a narrative about me as if they're giving me criticism, but they're making shit up. Using something I'm doing or something I'm said to add on to it and make a new thing. And then I have to unravel all of that. And it's like I'm trying to, like, it's like the argument is me trying to get them to just actually engage with me in good faith, and it never gets there. And everything I say keeps getting spun, and it's not supposed to get there. These people are not trying to, they're here to do the thing that I am talking about. They're not actually trying to have a conversation. They're not actually like autistic and unable to understand. They might be sociopathic and unable to understand. And I don't think they're actually sociopathic. I just think that the way that they engage in these debate type things, like a debate about someone's like personal life, some debate about someone's mental health, they learned how to do that from Destiny. It's incredibly fucked up. Debating about someone's mental health, debating about what's good for them, and then inevitably in every one of these arguments interwoven is that, well, you came into this like this is the internet. You should have known it would be like this. I'm just giving you feedback. You've put it out there, so I'm just giving you feedback. But you're giving me feedback, but you don't actually care. You're giving me feedback as if you care, but you're really just tearing me down, but but you're trying to paint it as if it's feedback, but it's really just tearing me down. If you would just say the pattern of behavior that I hate the most is when you are forthcoming and vulnerable about yourself, and then somebody who doesn't like you for whatever reason, and it might be obvious, it'll be obvious to me why they don't like me. Like I'll know exactly what they're talking about, and like a certain stream that they watched or something like that, and they will not be able to fucking process that within themselves. They just know they don't like me. And then I will be vulnerable. And then whatever I say about myself, they'll literally say the opposite. No, actually, you suck. You're not confident. You're not charismatic. You're not whatever the fuck. They will just undermine any narrative you have about yourself to justify or trying to rationalize to themselves why they don't like you. And any good thing about you needs to be undermined. It's just really a abusive way of engaging online with somebody that you don't like, dissecting them to them in response to them being vulnerable because you don't like them and you're trying to work it out within yourself. And I see that happen a lot, and I really hate that particular behavior. It pisses me off. Just fucking learn how to be more introspective. It's okay if you don't like me, but the way that you not liking me is not directly related to whatever it is that I'm saying about myself. You already didn't like me, and you still have not articulated that. So you're coming into this with the I don't like you, and then whatever I say is now the puzzle pieces that you're going to use to build your fucking statue, build your fucking monument to why you don't like me, and you don't know how to build your own puzzle pieces. Let's continue. I need some water. Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna really quick. I'm just gonna press this here. Okay, let's continue. Okay. All due respect, but it might be a good idea to find a new therapist. Find a new therapist. This is not the type of thing that people do in therapy. I've been in therapy for years, and the suggestion, write a poem letter to an obscure internet personality that you're parasocially obsessed with has never come up. First of all, it's not parasocial. I have a relationship with him. Okay, I have a working relationship with him and a mentor relationship with him. A little bit personal, and he is constantly doing his best to maintain those boundaries, and that's what the relationship is. Okay? Obsession. No. This is not some fan. I've been streaming as a mrgirl orbiter for over a year now. And of course, I was not trying to say that a therapist would tell you to write this letter and post it online. So they're using that flaw in what I said, because I did not explain that, obviously, because it seems obvious that a therapist wouldn't tell you to post the letter online. So I didn't say that. You're fucking wrong. See? And then to use that to throw in all this extra shit to define me as a parasocially attached crazy person with a bad therapist, mind you. What? Okay. Your therapist is obviously bad. Okay. Right. Most people don't post vulnerable shit on the internet that might that they might talk to their therapist about. I agree. Why is this fucking getting downvotes? These people are so fucking unbearable. True. But what you're being vulnerable about doesn't even seem particularly productive. Actually, it is productive. It's actually been very productive for me. The part that isn't productive is the comments. Like I knew I did absolutely sign up for this, but I mean, it is productive. There's something about this that I'm learning from and enjoying. Yeah, I don't think it's actually that confusing for me, but it does piss me off, and I'm triggered. So I'm talking about it, and it also it's just interesting content. Gives me an excuse to talk about abusive behavior, talk about myself, talk about my relationship with Max, talk about complicated relationships, talk about boundaries. We haven't even gotten to the conversation about boundaries. We're just talking about the tactics of the linguistic tactics at play here, and maybe their mindset. Okay, I can see value in sharing a feeling with somebody, but that feeling is about something irrational. But if that feeling is about something irrational, like this, in my opinion, the therapeutic value would be in addressing the cause of that shame rather than being vulnerable about it to everyone for its own sake. Okay, first of all, if you have shame, before you can address it at all, you have to admit that it's there. Me admitting that to Max is something that I have been afraid to do, and I have mental blocks that prevent me from going there. So now that I don't. So now I'm that much closer. The shame, obviously, comes from my childhood and my people-pleasing tendencies. There's some more to it that I'm still unpacking, but this is part of the process. Okay. As if you know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, you're telling me that what I'm doing isn't productive for me, but it is, and you're wrong. Like, you can just say that because you think that, but you're bringing all of your baggage into that. That's not what's going on here. It's like you're hyper-focused on vulnerability as some kind of cure-all, but it doesn't seem useful or rational in this context. What the fuck is rational about your emotions? Nothing. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. That emotion was irrational. Let me take that one back. Are you fucking kidding me? If you think that your emotions, that's why, and this is a DGG Destiny type fucking thing. It is why I am describing them as sociopathic. It's not that I think that they're actually sociopaths in real life or anything, but the way that they engage, especially in a format like Reddit, especially, I'm assuming, where you can be hyper goggles on and hyper fixated and autistic. It is very sociopathic. They're not engaging in a human way. They're gauging the way a sociopath would engage. This post is addressing the shame directly, like I just said. This demonstrates misunderstanding 100%. Got me? What, like, okay, what am I misunderstanding? Wordbird 9. Posting about the shame isn't addressing it. It's just showing the shame to an internet audience. Okay, yes, it is showing the shame to an internet audience, but me admitting it and talking to Max about it, saying that it's something that I've been unable to vomit up, and getting that out of me. I was getting rid of that mental block. I've literally talked about in the letter. I said that I am getting rid of these mental blocks. That was the point of the letter. Me saying it publicly makes it more profound to me. You being part of the audience makes it more powerful for me that I said it in front of you. That if I can vomit up that thing that I was so afraid to say in front of you, I can do it anytime. So now that particular block is completely cured. So now whatever's underneath is what I gotta focus on. Where did I fucking stop? The latter usually requires the former, but the former without the latter is just emotional exhibitionism. No. This was incredibly hard for me to do. I can theorize, and it's interesting to think about how much of this is emotional exhibitionism. How much of my work at all is in my art, in my streaming, is emotional exhibitionism. Some of it surely is, but it's definitely not just emotional exhibitionism. You're dismissing everything else about it, and you're focusing on a narrative that you can construct that makes me look bad. Excuse me, Wordbird 9. I'll be the judge of what is and is not addressing my shame. Expressing the thing that I'm ashamed of publicly is me addressing my shame. It's your prerogative. See, they frame it as if they're engaging, you know? It just seems, it's your prerogative. It just seems as though you're lacking in decent outside perspective. See, I don't think you understand yourself, and I don't think you understand what's healthy for you, and I obviously care so much about you, and I'm here to help. Maybe you look back in 5 years and see some value in being vulnerable to strangers, but I find it kind of unlikely. Well, I think that's a you thing. Also, I just want to say that this is definitely not exactly the type of thing you do in therapy, like I said. I'm still right about that. No, you're not, you fucking asshole. You don't know what oh yeah, obviously, I've already gone over this a million times, but it's really obvious. It's as you're behaving and talking as if you don't understand what a conversation would look like in therapy whatsoever. You don't understand like vulnerability. You don't understand emotions. Like you think emotions have to be rational. It's like you literally, they're invisible to you. You're living in the Matrix. It's all ones and zeros, and there's no feelings. But I guess he's been in therapy for years. Like I said, been in therapy for years with many people, and be purposely vulnerable by pushing a poem letter to an obscure internet personality, like that, in quotes, like that. Everything you just put there, be purposely vulnerable. Okay, first of all, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being purposely vulnerable. I think you're a little bit fucked up if that's how you started it. If you clearly think that there's a problem with being purposely vulnerable, that is not a problem. By publishing a poem letter to an obscure internet personality. No, obviously a fucking therapist wouldn't tell you to fucking publish a poem letter online. But the real thing, I think, that is bugging you is the purposely vulnerable thing. I think that it is a response to vulnerability that not just this person, but a lot of these people are having, where they want to shut it down. I think they have their own issues, they see the vulnerability, and they need to shut it down. Not only that, but they've learned and rehearsed this behavior from Destiny. So there's a lot to it. Maybe that chicken or the egg, I don't know. I can't say. It really freaks me out thinking that Destiny is training people to be like this, though. But I think he is. But I hope not. Maybe it's just people that are attracted to him that are like that. I don't know. Young people. I don't know. His audience is a lot younger than my audience. My audience is averaged age 30. I don't think his audience is average age 30. Okay, I'll amend it to exactly the type of thing you talk about in therapy and the type of conversation a therapist might encourage you to have, not publicly. Is there anything else to this? Yeah, there's more to this. I think after this particular engagement, I think this is the one that I put the most thought into, the most fucking time into. Then I'm gonna move to the next one. Okay. Someone in Kick just said, "Hey, sexy," to me. Their name is Meat Dragger. Meat Dragger 69 just said, "Hey, sexy," to me. Okay. But the thing that makes this type of convo useful in therapy is that the therapist has your best interests in mind and is bound to some kind of ethics code. No idea why anyone would see value in being so vulnerable to people who don't. Yes, I know that you guys are trying to be abusive. I know that. That doesn't undermine me expressing that, getting it off my chest and telling it to Max. That doesn't undermine any of that. It's just now also you guys are going to be abusive, which is interesting. And it gives me a lot to think about and talk about. I don't want to say that it doesn't trigger me, but I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I did it. Which subreddit is that? Oh, that's mrgirl subreddit. If you don't know, ever since the mrgirl and Destiny drama, there has been like his subreddit is mostly filled with DGGers that troll him and troll anybody that says anything like genuine on there, and they act really sociopathic and abusive and like this. You know, like, I mean, this guy said that like feelings had to be rational. Your feelings, this is something that's come up in arguments to me in my personal life a couple times that I just thought of. Your feelings are a fact. If I feel a certain way, that's a fact. Okay, where was I? No idea why anyone would see value in being so vulnerable to people who definitely don't have your best interests in mind. Do you have my best interest in mind? In saying that? In saying that, do you have my best interest in mind? Do you actually? Or do you just not see the value in it? And you want to debate about that? I don't... What do you want? What do you want? Just tell me you fucking hate me. Or if you care about me, act like it. There's this concept that Breen Brown talks about called floodlighting. It's essentially being vulnerable with people who haven't demonstrated any kind of goodwill towards you. This whole post strikes me a textbook example of that. I'm not opening that. Dude, I didn't write this post I wrote it to Max and I put it out publicly in front of you. It's like I can make a painting for a specific audience, and then like I'll make a painting that I know only one person will appreciate, and then I put it out in a town square in front of a bunch of people that I know are gonna hate it, just to see what they do to it and watch them throw eggs at it, and that becomes part of the art. The more people are vulnerable, yeah, more people need to be vulnerable and to not put... What I'm doing here by responding to this, and I do a lot of responding, you shouldn't do. It feeds it, and it isn't good. I don't think me putting the post out there is bad for me, because I've done it before, and I've just not responded. But this time I responded way too much, and responding to that stuff is what's bad for you. It's not the publishing it, but responding to the concern trolling is bad for you. You can trick yourself into thinking that you can do it and then not let it get to you because you just wanna, you're curious, or you want to be engaging or something. Like being a YouTuber, you're highly encouraged to respond to comments on YouTube, and I respond to mostly all my comments. It's the way like the YouTube thing is set up. There's a whole page to responding to comments you haven't responded to, and their system is very the analytics, everything. You can look at all these fucking graphs and everything. It's intentionally like one page solely dedicated to just putting the comments you haven't responded to right in front of your face and telling you to respond to them because they haven't been responded to yet. And that's really good for engagement. And if you are like a YouTuber, streamer, whatever, you're being trained by these platforms to do that, but it might not be so good for you. Okay, so yeah, Max has demonstrated that he is trustworthy for me to be vulnerable to. Absolutely. You haven't, but you're not I wasn't vulnerable. My vulnerability has nothing to do with you. It's basically like I go and I tell somebody that I love them It's like if I go and propose to somebody in public and then you're watching and you're like, hey, you know, that's not good. That's not good for you. You're going to have a bad marriage. What? I mean, what the fuck? Okay. Me explaining this is annoying, and I'm feeling it because I'm engaging with it right now, and it's all bullshit, and it's all such a waste of time and energy, and you can't win. Max has demonstrated that. Thing you talk about in therapy, and the type of conversation a therapist might encourage you to have, sure, but just walking around talking about what you talk about in therapy is not a therapist. That is not a therapist trusted friend, is not therapeutic. Okay, sure. Or maybe it could be, but yeah, sure. We haven't disagreed on that. Max has demonstrated that I can trust him with my emotions and vulnerability. Had he, you would have been able to call him up and talk about things in a non-public way. I do, and I have. I could have sent this to him privately. I think that he makes me feel this is, and as I mentioned in the next post I make about it, this is something that's potentially problematic, but he makes me feel like I should not, because our relationship is professional, and I feel like making it the Reddit post is a lot more professional. Both me and Max, our thing is being vulnerable, and our content is all about being vulnerable. Our relationship is that, and it's public. And I think that there might be something problematic about that as possible. Okay. Yeah, so I just get the picture here that he doesn't understand how boundaries work. As far as I see, Max keeps trying to respectfully place the boundary, and you seem to perceive that as some indictment on yourself. No! There was no boundary that I was not allowed. There was no boundary here that I was crossing. Everything I said in that post is completely permitted. We're going to get to that in my next post, and then Max's response to it. Fuck, dude. I need to drink water. Destiny looks a little miserable these days. In some of his streams, not 100% horrible, just a little bit sour and at a low point. You love responding to comments, but you haven't had any big hate trains lately? It's only like I was explaining, when people are rationalizing why they don't like you, that's not what this person is doing, but that one particularly really angers me. But I don't know if just because it angers me, it's the most unhealthy, but I can't tell what's more unhealthy in the long run. Okay. Yeah, so he just wants me to read about Brené Brown, and he wants me to read about how it's unhealthy to be vulnerable to people who are not going to be protective of me while I'm being vulnerable. And he also wants to define Max as somebody not worthy of my trust, because if I could trust him, then I could have said it in private, which I can, and I do say things to him in private. So you're wrong. But this is what you're bringing into it. it's interesting, but at some point, like, it's interesting if you bringing in your own baggage, and we can talk about that, and I don't mind being a sounding board where I'm vulnerable and that elicits an emotional response from you. You don't like that I'm being vulnerable online. You think there's something wrong with that, and you want to talk about that. I think that is mostly a you thing, because the only thing that is an issue about this post is you. The only thing that's upset me about this whole thing, and upset is a strong word. It's not like I'm gonna be losing sleep over this, but I am gonna be making content out of it. So it's just yeah, I don't really know. Like I was saying, I don't know how bad it is for you. I don't know how bad this is for me. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Oh, okay, so yeah, when I made the point about boundaries, I mixed him up with another person I was responding to. Okay, so the point about boundaries was to talk, because I was talking to multiple people. I was talking to this other guy. It's like, and now remembering that conversation with that other guy, it's like another bucket of tar on my brain. Oh, God. But I guess I might have to talk about that one, too. Let's turn that off, and let's, okay. Yeah, I mixed him up with someone else. Let's get to that. This one's going nowhere. Okay, I'm gonna fucking find whatever the fuck that was. This is going nowhere. View all comments. We gotta find this fucking guy, Florentine, or whatever the fuck his name is. Here we go. Okay, this is absolutely a guy being extremely abusive. The other guy was even more annoying because there was a tinge, because I could tell he was bringing something into it, and it was some genuineness about what he was saying, which is annoying because I'm trying to fucking pry it out of him, and it won't happen. And also, I was already annoyed, and I wasn't even engaging as well as I could have. I don't have that much fucking energy. Okay. Dear, so this guy emulates my style to write a letter to me about what's wrong about what I did. Dear Smeth, I don't know what Bajort or airplane. That okay. I'm gonna pause this. Ready? I'm gonna pause this. Okay. Suppressing your emotions and sending love letters to someone who has told you they're bound. Okay, this is where we're gonna get into boundaries. Okay. Suppressing your emotions and sending love letters to someone who has told you their boundaries are two extremely different things. Suppressing my emotions. I need to make this like more, because I need to put, yeah, here we go. Suppressing my emotions and sending love letters to people who have told me their boundaries are two very different things. Next time, write your feelings down like this. It can be cathartic. And take the letter to your therapist. Tell your therapist that the person it's written about has told you several times. See, okay, so you started off okay. So you're lulling me into, okay, I can listen. I can listen to this person. They're trying to be helpful. I understand where you're going. No, I don't. Tell your fucking therapist that the person it's written about has told you several times they're only interested in at most a professional relationship. I do not believe that there are any therapists worth their salt that would tell you it's appropriate to send, let alone publicly. They would, however, find plenty of topics worthy of discussion and exploration that could greatly further any progress you're trying to make. You now are defining my relationship with Max in a way that makes me look bad, and that is not true. I have talked about my feelings towards him probably 4 or 5 times publicly on stream, and this is a continuation of an ongoing conversation. Furthermore, this person doesn't understand boundaries, and that's why I brought that up earlier, and I was confused because I was kind of checked out after responding to these people, but Max holds his boundaries. I don't hold his boundaries. My job is not to try to imagine what's going to make him uncomfortable and then not do it. If he tells me that if you do this, then we cannot stream together or whatever, then I can't do that. That is how you hold a boundary. There is no boundary that I have crossed here. I'm talking about how I feel, and I'm not forcing him to do anything. In fact, it's healthy that I'm talking about how I feel. It is what my content's about. It's healthy for me. The comments might not be healthy, but that's all. Everything else is true. A person learning to accept feelings of anger should not do so by screaming in the face of their victim. Max is my victim. Actually, that's actually not true. If you are learning to accept your feelings of anger, the only way to do that is by being angry. Now, that doesn't mean screaming in the face of somebody, which is the most extreme and it's abusive way you can do it. In fact, you do need to not suppress your anger. So you're wrong. You like this other guy, do not understand. You don't have an understanding of how to have a healthy relationship with emotions at all. You're fundamentally, you're repressed and fucked up, and you're I don't know, either you're repressed or sociopathic. I don't know. But what you're advocating for is very unhealthy. You do need to be able to get angry without bottling it up and not exploding on somebody and screaming in their face. But I'm angry. This is pissing me off. I'm getting angry right now. It's not out of control. If you were in, if this person was in the room with me and they I'm angry at them. This is just a squabble. This is meaningless. I can be angry about this, and then there's no throwing of anything. I'm not going to scream in your face, and I'm not going to. It's just not. I'm not out of control. I'm not out of control because I am able to express my anger. So you're off to a really bad start. Learning to accept feelings of anger should not a person learning to accept feelings of anger should not do so by screaming in the face of their victim. Also, you're defining anger as something that someone else is a victim of, like as if to have anger means that you have a victim. That's not true. Anger is healthy. Anger is like there is a reason that cars have a horn. If someone cuts you off, you beep. That's what anger is. Every animal in the animal kingdom has anger. You invade their space, you start poking them with a stick, they go, "Hey, get away from me, I'm big." They assert themselves and hold their, because you need anger. Healthy anger is there to help you hold your boundaries. Without having healthy anger, it's very hard to hold your boundaries. If you repress that, it's going to be a lot harder to hold your boundaries. It's why we have it. A person learning to accept unrequited love, Jesus Christ, should not do so by writing open love letters that imply that their own struggle is something to be placed at the door of the target. Okay. What you're examining here is my relationship with Max. I know it makes you uncomfortable. It either makes you uncomfortable or you see it as a opening to make a personal attack, a vulnerability to make a personal attack. But there is nothing wrong with me doing this. And also, unrequited love, Max has boundaries where he is trying to keep me safe by not allowing our relationship to become too personal or intimate. Sometimes a little bit, but he's doing that to protect me, and it's not because he doesn't love me. I said in the letter that I don't feel like he loves me, and that's because he has boundaries. And that's why he's told me that him having boundaries, though I understand it, and I understand why it's there to protect me, makes me feel very bad. And that's because it's not like he doesn't love me, but he does have boundaries about saying that he loves me. That wouldn't be okay. But it makes it easy for you to define it as unrequited love. So yeah, my struggle is something to be placed at his door because in our relationship, as he has defined it, it is his job to hold the boundary, and is not and me expressing myself is extremely welcome. That is how our relationship is structured. Yeah. Coming to accept our feelings also means learning to regulate those feelings and understanding healthy expression. Okay, how is this an unhealthy expression? It like you give an analogy of me screaming in someone's face, but that's not what this is. This is not an unhealthy way to express that. The only thing unhealthy about it is you. You are the one making it unhealthy. There's nothing unhealthy about it between me and Max. It's you. And that's why I did it. And that's why I'm talking about it. Because you're the subject. And the only thing unhealthy here is you. It's neither appropriate nor fair to tell a person who does not want your love. Again, it's not that he doesn't want my love. It's that he wants to hold boundaries. That doesn't mean that he doesn't want my love or doesn't want me to say that I love him. It's not fair that I punish myself as a consequence for them not loving me. See, this is why. So that bad faith or projection. It's your guess. Your guess is as good as mine. But saying that, I think it's because it wants to elicit a response from me. But I don't know how to respond to that. And he's also like the conflation between Max having a boundary and Max not loving me is a very mean, fucked up thing to say. That is literally the thing that my letter had confusion about. That's literally the thing that was bothering me, and you've pointed it out, and you are amplifying the bad thought that I was having, and you are now repeating it back to me as if it's true, which Max had already affirmed in his response otherwise. Like, it's the most abusive thing and I understand it because I move fast. That's why I am able to do that. That's why I posted this shit. Me posting this has helped me grow a lot. I move fast with this type of thing. I can see it. But at that moment I couldn't. You were telling me the exact thing that was the harmful bad thought that I was having that led to these negative feelings, and you're reaffirming it to me. I get the impression that you are like a extremely abusive dude. Maybe this was a fluke, but I really doubt that. I'm pretty sure people were commenting saying that most of these people do this like all the fucking time. And yeah, I don't think it was a fluke. Intentional or impulsive? Intentional abuse or impulsively abusing without intent? I don't know. So, my mental health is not their fault or responsibility. This is a destinyism. So, somebody is freaking out because of how destiny treats them. This is not necessarily exactly, but the argument there is a destinyism. Somebody will be freaking out because of how destiny treats them, and then he'd be like, "Oh, it's not my fault that you're mentally ill. It's your problem," which is a very abusive thing to say. And he spread that to his fucking little cretins. My mental health is not his fault, but the way that his boundaries make me feel is something he's signed up for and he accepts as part of our relationship. Any healthy relationship should be such that even if somebody's healthy boundary with you makes you upset because of your baggage, if you have a relationship with them, talking about that is productive. My relationship with Max isn't so professional that isn't part of it. It's not like this is a workplace type thing. It's like a mentorship type thing. He's holding these boundaries because he cares about me, not because he's trying to be self-protective in a workplace. And as such, me talking about how his boundaries makes me feel is extremely welcome and a part of the relationship. And me explaining this yet again, I'm feeling like the fact that I have to do that in response to this. But maybe it's good, and maybe some people are getting something out of it. Maybe I could have been my response letter is pretty concise. Yeah, I hadn't read that until now. That's why that was triggering me so much, because I just, as I say here, I stopped reading it who has told you their boundaries. No such boundary exists, and it would be insane. Right. It would not be appropriate for him to have a boundary against me telling him how his boundaries make me feel. This is Max. This is the guy that made the doll review. He thinks that he should be able, and I agree, that he should be able to tell his girlfriend that he wants to fuck her like a doll and to go and, like, I don't know, like, he's not afraid to have these intimate conversations, I guess, in general. And he doesn't feel that it is his responsibility to hold her boundaries for her without her telling him what they are, which is exactly what you're telling me to do here. Mate, you're writing open love letters to a... So you just continue. It's on. Oh, you're like, fuck, dude, I'm so triggered. I need more liquid in me. I need more liquid in me. I also have I have a Jubilee video that I might pop up. Let's watch this for now. Okay, let's switch gears. I'm gonna review, and I've never done a review like this ever before. I have a Jubilee video, because I thought this would be funny. The video is, I'm a sociopath, ask me anything. And so it's people talking to someone who's a diagnosed sociopath. And a lot of the things that they say are very familiar. I'm going to do that and then move my camera here. And then move the video here. And then move my camera here. Oh yeah, baby, let's go. And then move it a little bit more. And then move this a little bit more. Let's go, baby. I know Jubilee lets people react to their videos too. Let's go. Yep, move forward, Betty. Yeah.
Oh, can I know that you're being honest with me, and did you lie to any of us?
I don't think I've lied to anybody. I guess
This demeanor. Oh, it's already like, oh, it seems like a nice guy and everything, but you know. Is that...
I could be lying to you.
If you were alone in a room with a diagnosed sociopath,
Have you ever?
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
What age were you?
Look at this. His posture.
Guilt.
That's it. Like,
He's
go
got this really,
What does empathy-
he's like trying to be as small as possible, tucking his arms in and shit. It's not that he feels small or insecure,
That's good.
What's your name?
on. Greg.
All right. Nice.
but
to
he
meet
wants you to think that so you trust him.
you. Nice to meet you.
What age were you diagnosed?
I think I was around 21, 22.
How old are you?
I am 33.
What's your definition of a sociopath?
A sociopath to me is someone who has no regard for themselves or for other people. You're very impulsive, very irresponsible, reckless, basically like a child.
Were you surprised when you got diagnosed?
I don't think surprised is the right word. I think relieved. Like I was doing.
Was a sociopath.
Waking up in prison was probably my first clue. I was using drugs and selling.
Did you commit those crimes?
The last time I
I don't care about that.
can drive recklessly.
I don't care about that. I don't care about this fucking guy's
I
life.
think people most often
think that
Stereotype is
just to be mean and like just for its own sake. At least for me, that's not how.
I don't believe you. Okay? Because well, it depends what's fun and what's not fun. Because I guess a sociopath wouldn't do shit to be mean if they didn't think being mean was fun and they had something else. I don't believe you. I think almost every sociopath is going to do mean things because it's fun. It's like saying you don't like sex. If you didn't have feelings, of course you would do that. You're a human being and you want to see other human beings be affected.
It presents more often than not impulsive people that can lead to you being a little bit aggressive and irritable, but the myth that they're violent and just out of control monsters is
It's not. I don't think you're violent. Let's get onto
to
this.
an extent in given relation.
It's more
I
like
hate this. I don't. He's tricking these people. He's tricking them.
mutual respect and wanting to do others for people to make them feel better.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I look at all of my relationships as very transactional.
Where does that sound
and
like?
it's just kind of the way that I engage with the world.
What are some things that piss you off?
When people can't admit they're wrong or
But what does that sound like? Oh, what does that sound like?
make a
Oh,
mistake that
oh, they made a mistake, or they can't admit that they're wrong, and you need to prove that they're wrong, and you need to, that makes him really mad.
drives me absolutely crazy.
Who does that sound like? What community does that sound like?
I think that's just because I used to do that same thing. I used to not ever admit that I was wrong.
What does empathy look like for you, if you have empathy at all?
So I call it cognitive empathy.
What does that
It's
sound
just
like?
Me making sure that I put myself in someone else's shoes, like intentionally. My first response in any given situation is never empathy. It's usually some like logical solution to the problem. When
Yeah, cognitive empathy isn't empathy. I'm just gonna
a lot
fucking
of
say
times
that.
that's
Like
not what people need. They need
it's
you to listen and just be there for them.
Have you ever felt
it's a approximation of empathy.
guilt or remorse? Is that something that you feel?
That's a complicated question. So at the time, I didn't feel bad about anything that I did. I really didn't have a care in the world. Once I move on from it, like in my head, it's over to me.
Don't care
which
anymore. It's done.
Isn't great when you cheated on your partner, and then they don't forget about that.
Yeah.
But I would. I regret it now because I don't like that I put people through that, and I don't like that I hurt them. But
What
that's
does that
now.
mean?
That wasn't then.
So are you not a sociopath now? Or are you? Or I would assume that you don't like it. So I'm just taking him in good faith that he's a total sociopath. Like maybe he's actually not a sociopath anymore, or okay? Maybe because that's what it sounds like he's trying to convince people. But if he is a sociopath, the way I'd interpret that is that he feels bad about having to tell you that he has hurt people. And he feels bad that makes people, it's an untrustworthy thing for him to have done.
I wanted to ask you what your childhood was like.
Part of the problem is, I don't store memories very well, so I don't necessarily remember much of my childhood.
Is that a condition associated with being a sociopath?
From what I've gathered, memory is tied to emotion fairly strongly. The way that I experience emotions is not quite as deep as other people, so the emotional tie to memories that makes them stick in your brain doesn't really happen for me that often.
Did you
It's also true of narcissists and narcissism, and it's like a sociopath. Sociopaths are usually also narcissists. All sociopaths, unless there's some weird way of it presenting, the vast majority of them are also narcissists. Narcissism is a dissociative problem because you're not connected to the people around you, you're connected to your idea of them in your head. And you're not engaging with them on the outside, you're engaging with them and your idea of them on the inside. And narcissists don't remember most of their relationships because they're not engaging with what's actually happening. They're engaging with their little fantasy, and they don't really, they hate you and everything that you do because it contradicts their fantasy.
Tell your parents about your diagnosis right away?
No, actually I didn't. I've only actually mentioned it to...
But with the sociopath, that hate doesn't happen. They don't impulsively react like that. They just coldly manipulate, and they are very reckless.
To my parents one time when
narcissists tend to get ahead in society a lot easier than sociopaths, because sociopaths are out of control of themselves. It's easier for a narcissist to be Machiavellian than it is for a psychopath to be, but it's not the same case that they can't. There are sociopaths that get really far in society, economically, in their jobs, in their careers.
I told them, they didn't believe me. They're like, that's not the Greg I knew. And I guess it just speaks to how fooled I had them. They just didn't believe that I was capable.
Okay, here we go. You should probably here's Emery. I'm going to do his voice. You should probably do a better job engaging with the criticism directed at you instead of just dismissing it outright because you are emotionally involved and hurt. Bird Ward 9 is for one not a DGGer. Oh, well, he sounds like one, so... my dismissal of his, I actually did engage, and I talked way too long about the things that he said. But in fact, yeah, I did not just dismiss him as a DGGer, okay? I actually went way too far into what he was saying, okay? So why don't you just fuck off, bud? I proved your point? No. How did I prove your point? Your point...
Those things.
Care Counseling, New Hampshire's premier
Care Counseling, guys.
mental health center, specializing
This
in
is
modern-day
perfect.
approaches that are effective at treating.
Okay. Okay.
Do you feel love?
I think so. Like, I do experience emotions and love and connection and closeness. It's just maybe not to the depth or like breadth of.
Okay, yeah, Emery. Me responding to some of the criticism in the second post, quote unquote criticism. Okay, you're actually, no. I didn't. You are conflating a bunch of shit because you love to stir shit, okay? I was responding to trolls by being a, like, snarky asshole and being dismissive to literal trolling, okay? Yes, that is... You can call that cringe, and that's fine. But I was not being dismissive to criticism. I am dismissive to people telling me, like, reframing my relationship with Max as something harmful, ignoring everything that I said, fixating on a specific point that is not, like for instance, as if I was saying that a therapist would tell you to make a post online. No, I wouldn't do that. That's not what I was trying to say. And if you fixate on a flaw in the way that I verbalize something or the way that I wrote something, that you can make a retarded point so that makes it sound like I'm wrong, or if you can reframe something in a way that's obviously not true, like I explained very detailed how my relationship with Max is structured, and you still, you ignore everything I have to say, and then you tell me that I am obsessed and that it is a like I'm like a weird like fan or something, that we have a different relationship with that. I just explained it to you. At that point, there's nothing for me to engage with. because you're not engaging. Like, so a lot of the quote unquote criticism is literally not engaging with what I said and just literally creating a new narrative about me. They'll take a snippet of what I said and then post that and then say, pertaining to this sentence that you said, actually, a therapist would actually never tell you to post something online. No fucking shit. You don't think I disagree with that? Or tell me something literally wrong, like, oh, actually, if you were trying to learn how to express your anger, you shouldn't scream at people's faces. Like, you are fundamentally, actually, somebody who is completely unable to express their anger actually does, like, screaming at someone's face, though it could be very, and it probably is very abusive, is actually, a therapist is going to see that as a very big step forward from no expression of anger whatsoever. It could be dangerous. Maybe they're the type of person that could actually, like, fucking kill somebody. So maybe the therapist is like, okay, whoa, we need to put you in an asylum or whatever. But for most people, where they're not that type of person that's going to fucking kill somebody, that actually is a big step. So these misinterpretations, these intentional bad faith shit, engaging with bad faith criticism, yes, you should dismiss it. So fuck you. They were engaging with you. I'm doing the voice again. They were engaging with you. You just hated how they engaged with you. No, they engaged with me in bad faith. And yes, I did hate. Yeah, so they did engage with me. But they didn't engage with anything I said. So you want me to respond to that in good faith and just like, oh, that is really harmful to you. When someone is giving this all bad faith criticism about you and your mental health and your relationships in bad faith, that's very abusive to have to fucking, like, respond to as if they are, like, actually listening and being a real conversational partner that is not trying to tear you down, not trying to hurt you, not bringing their own, not able to bring their own baggage to the table in the conversation. At that point, I cannot continue to engage with it.
Of some other people,
Who would you say is your favorite person in your life right now?
probably my son.
So yeah, this is a diagnosed sociopath.
He's one of the main reasons that.
This is a diagnosed sociopath. You have to, listen to him. He sounds like he's great and sounds like he's a loving person. Look at his posture. He looks safe to be around. He sounds very humble, and he sounds very... You need to know how to set boundaries with people, okay? Emery? And I know that I was getting some criticism for setting boundaries, especially because I did it angrily. But I don't care. It's not a win on their part. It wasn't a competition to begin with. And it's not a loss on my part. You can call it cringe. Okay. And does that mean, like, what does that mean for me? What should that mean? What should I do? Should I change my behavior? Which, like, what I shouldn't have done was engage at all. But at the point, so with some of the trolls, I got angry and I got snippy, and we'll fucking get to that maybe. I don't know. Well, if we ever fucking get there, we'll probably get there. I'm gonna fucking end this video. We're gonna go to the second fucking post. Aha. Okay, Emery. Thank you. Emery says, I think you're desperately trying to garner Mr. Girl's attention by doing this, and it's embarrassing. Thank you. Okay. All right. Do you want me to be your therapist right now? Okay, Emery. Tell me more. Tell me more, Emery. I'm going to go to the next post. I've had enough of this. Let's go. Let's go back to this. Yeah, baby. Looks like Emery's dipped out. I think. Okay. Unfortunately, like responding to some of this shit, I'm getting a bit flustered. I'm not giving as good, concise feedback as I could. At this point in the stream, though, that's why I wrote this post, because I know that talking about this, I should have read this first, honestly. Because I know that talking about this is like talking about like people literally telling me like figuring out the thing that was unhealthy about my thought pattern from the post that I was writing, and then repeating that, like figuring out what to say and then repeating that back at me. Engaging with that is it really isn't great for having a very good train of thought. So I've got it all written out. It's going to take a while to read this fucking shit because I wrote a lot. Let's go. Dear Mr. Girl Returns, I recently wrote a public letter to Max. Maybe you've read it. I'm considering doing a stream about it. This post is in preparation for that. Example criticism. Let's go to that real quick. Okay. No therapist would ever ask you to send a letter to someone you have a persistent one-sided infatuation with. People with persistent one-sided infatuations are often a fucking nightmare for the people they obsess with. The idea that a therapist would instruct you to write a public letter to the target of your infatuation would be like a therapist instructing a rapist to post a letter complimenting their last victim's looks on the victim's Facebook page. It doesn't happen. You need to stop posting these letters. You need to stop posting these letters. They are abusive to Max, and the fact that you keep making them public is exacerbating the level of harm that you're doing to him. Okay. And that kind of ties into what Emery was saying. Yeah, exactly, Emery. Emery says, that man is spitting for real, for real. Exactly. It's tying exactly into what Emery was saying. Because Emery was saying that it's super cringe that I'm trying to garner Max's attention. And, because it's like I'm being abusive to him or something. And, it's fucked up. So that's my example of the criticism. Let's see how I responded. If you, 1, define my relationship with Max as one-sided infatuation, 2. Defined the act of writing this public letter to Max as an issue that is causing me distress. 3. Defined Max as my victim. Then a therapist would never tell me to do this. A therapist certainly wouldn't recommend that anyone post something like this publicly. My point was obviously that this is the type of thinking that a therapist encourages, and the type of conversation that a therapist encourages you to have. It's hard to disagree with that point, which is why it was not engaged with. Many of you are either projecting your own issues onto this or trying to elicit an emotional response from me like a vulnerable seeking missile. Maybe both. The most problematic aspect of this letter is all the abusive comments and how they might affect me. I knew that going in, and that's why I was inspired to write this letter in the first place, as a provocative and meaningful work that I can be proud of, and I stand by it. There would be no point in posting something like this in a place where everyone would already understand. My letter to Max. My letter to Max. Why is it? That's fine. My letter to Max was an extension of an ongoing public conversation between us. Max says that I hate him beneath it all. I'm not sure if that's true, but I've realized it's impossible to know that if I'm too cowardly to express how I feel about him at all. This has come up in some form in almost every time we speak on stream. I experience some form of cognitive dissonance that slowly undermines my ability to communicate. Maybe you can recognize this in your own life. The first step towards growth is to be honest. Ironically, although I could have spoken to Max in DMs, and I do, sending this to him in private would be less respectful of his boundaries, which you could argue is somewhat problematic. It's worth noting that I don't think most of the critics actually care about his boundaries, nor do I think they actually care about me. Rather, they care about shutting me down. Regardless, I would say that Max's boundaries are made particularly confusing for me because of his messy boundaries with Lav. She undermines his boundaries and is able to have both a private, close relationship with him and a public relationship with him as a content creator. I'm not sure Max knows what he's doing at this point, and the protective boundaries that he has with me don't exist for her. He's now undermining his own boundaries with her by collaborating on a rap song. It's a complicated mess. In retrospect, interacting with Lav amidst this boundary confusion is a major contributor to the distress I was experiencing in my letter. My relationship with Max is not one-sided, nor is it an infatuation. I said I love him, not that I'm in love with him. I also described it as having positive feelings towards him. Infatuation is not a positive feeling at all. In situations like these, it's hard to tell the difference between bad faith and projection, but I think they often go hand in hand. Max and I have a pre-existing relationship that has been ongoing for over a year. I've lost my spot. That is ongoing for over a year. I'm sure you're familiar because it's often memed that I'm his son. I'm not. The relationship I have with Max is essentially the inversion of his relationship with Lav. He does not want either type of relationship to blend into the other because it could be harmful. That's why he has these boundaries. While I understand, I don't necessarily agree with every decision he makes in defining the relationship. Overall, I respect it because he cares about me. I'm discovering now that this also upsets me for reasons I have yet to unpack. Both me and Lav want to blur these lines, and Max holds his boundaries as best he can. Unlike Lav, this is something I appreciate about him, but it does mean that he is in control of the relationship, as Max points out in his response, and I found that distressing. Let's go to his response real quick. And then continue. Dear Seth. This was his response to my first letter. As I already showed this, but Dear Seth, it seems as though you intellectually understand that boundaries are important for your safety and well-being, but emotionally they are very painful for you. You may feel ashamed of not being in control of our relationship or your feelings. I think I make you feel like a child, which makes you feel really bad about yourself. Max. So he accepts and acknowledges that in this relationship, I am like a child and he is like the adult. He is in charge of defining the relationship and setting the boundaries. It is an agreed upon, I'm trying to think of the right vocabulary word. It is the agreement. This is the relationship we have. And he doesn't have these boundaries with me because he doesn't love me. He has them because it's healthy and he wants to protect me and prevent a situation like what happened with him in Destiny. I digress. Anyway, let's continue. I am inevitably going to be pushing his boundaries and he will be holding them. That is how our relationship is structured, and Max endorses it. He describes it as me being put in a childlike position. He doesn't want me to preempt his boundaries and constantly predict what he wants me to be doing. He wants me to trust him to set his own boundaries. Because of that fact, he is not controlling of me. Only the relationship itself. I can act however I feel is appropriate, and he will say no if he needs to. By asking me to hold his boundaries for him, you're asking me to let him control me. Neither of us want that. Consider your own relationships. It's likely that you are being put into abusive situations for them, especially if they have power over you. Maybe you're the one expecting this behavior from others. Max doesn't have a boundary against me telling him I love him, writing this post, or even embarrassing him. If he has a boundary, he will tell me to stop. He will say something like, "Stop. If you continue doing this, I will no longer respond to your letters on Reddit." He has said things like this to me, and then I have to abide. It's a boundary. He responded to my letter prior, and he didn't say any such thing. If I embarrass him, he isn't going to punish me by going on stream to humiliate me and define me as an insane moron to all his fans. That would be abusive, and it would give him an extreme amount of control over my content and my art. People who cede this power over to others voluntarily are called people pleasers. It makes us feel like we have control over abusive situations by constraining ourselves as to not provoke the abuse. You want me to behave towards Max the way a Destiny orbiter behaves toward Destiny. That is to become a pathetic beta cuck, constantly tiptoeing around his undisclosed boundaries and being put in my place if I dare to challenge my role in the relationship. It's ironic that the more I shed my people-pleasing tendencies, define myself, give myself permission to be charismatic and become more confident, the more I get criticized for copying Max. On the contrary, Max was one of the only streamers in the Destiny-verse that could think for himself in the face of constant shaming and dismissal. It's not that I'm a copy of Max. It's that everyone is expected to be a copy of Destiny. I'm a lot more like Max than Destiny, and that's undeniable. But if it were the other way around, nobody would bat an eye. It's disturbing that the more I grow into my own, the more I'm dismissed as if I'm being disingenuous. I'm getting used to it. At the end of the day, charisma is charisma. You'll keep coming back for another suck. Smeth. Here's Wordbird again. My relationship with Max is not one-sided, nor is it an infatuation. Okay. And what does he have to say about it? What am I wrong about my own relationship with Max? It's not one-sided, but it's very leaning towards you in terms of investment. Okay, sure. Why is that important? Why, like, that doesn't contradict anything. It would be better for you and Max to see that as the response to the 12-page letter being 3 sentences as implicitly saying, oh, okay, so what he's saying is, I wrote a long letter. The first letter, in fact, was like 1 paragraph and then a couple sentences. So it wasn't very long, but he's defining it as 12 pages. So, Dear Emery, telling me, well, he is not a DGGer. You need to listen to him because he's good faith. That last letter, he just described as being 12 pages. In the beginning of this very long post that he's writing, he described my first letter as being 12 pages. And you're telling me that is, I need to engage in earnest with that. To engage in earnest with that is to self-harm. No. Fuck that. That's fucking insane. No. Let's take a look at how long that is, just for clarification's sake. This is my first post here. This is it. It's not that long. Okay, let's continue. So he's saying that because I wrote a very long post and that Max wrote 3 sentences as a reply is implicitly saying, as I said, stop. If you continue to do this, I will no longer respond to your letters on Reddit. Wrong. So there's not much I can say with that. There's not much I can say in response to that because he is literally just wrong. Let's go. I think this would be an appropriate time to go to Max's response to my second letter. This letter is directed at his subreddit. Max made a response. Let's find it in a different tab here. Yeah, this was like clearly an exercise in writing for a lot of people. We got our fucking words in. Here we go. Here's Max's response to that. Part of the sociopathic worldview, as many of our members here, part of the sociopathic worldview of the many of the members here is that everyone is secretly a sociopath. So no amount of explaining yourself will work because you'll be assigning sociopathic motivations. I'm going to start over. Part of the sociopathic worldview of many of our members here is that everyone is secretly a sociopath. So no amount of explaining yourself will work because you'll be assigned sociopathic motivations no matter what. The best you can hope for is to be seen as an honest sociopath. In their minds, you write these letters as a manipulation ploy to gain control over me, the object of your sexual infatuation, the only intimate feeling they believe people can have towards one another. My responses are also manipulative ploys to inflate my own ego or somehow boost my career. Or maybe they're manipulative ploys to tell me that you secretly have a boundary against me making the post. Whatever narrative, it's signing this fucking shit that's wrong. Maybe someday they will believe in genuine warmth, but obviously you're going to get extreme resistance for the time being. Okay. Let's go back here. So this first criticism is telling me that, and I mean, this is, somebody that's, this is not a DGGer, it's somebody in good faith. They're telling me I wrote a 12-page thing, and that the fact, which is wrong. So it's a warning flag right there. And the fact that Max's response is very short means that he is implicitly saying, stop. If you continue to do this, I will no longer respond to your letters on Reddit. Okay, you're wrong. How am I supposed to engage with that, you fucking moron? Don't make me do that. Like, I'm beeping my horn, baby. You engage with shit like that if you want, but I'm not gonna self-harm. Okay? So this person clearly has an issue where they, I like this. I already said with Wordle. I don't think Wordle's like a sociopath. Wordbird. I don't think this person's a sociopath. I think they're bringing their own baggage into this. I think that this person feels like, if they were in my shoes, they would think that Max is setting a boundary, and they would be afraid to continue in their relationship. They would feel like they would feel insecure, and I would define this as an insecure attachment style. Only if their message as a reply is very long. I spent a long time writing the second one. That's a very long one. If Max doesn't reply in an equally verbose manner, that means he's setting a boundary. Because there's no way, because if he doesn't give equal effort into the thing that I'm doing, then somehow that means I should be afraid for my security in the relationship, as if there is a boundary that I should be holding for him against me that he hasn't set. Max holds the boundary, not me. If you want me to hold his boundaries for him, you're telling me to be, one, in an abusive situation, two, to cede a shit ton of control over to him, and also to be very mentally unhealthy and behave in a way that's very bad for you. Let's continue. So he says that Max is telling me, stop. If you continue doing this, I will no longer respond to your letters on Reddit. There's implicit messages as well as explicit ones. Generally not healthy to rely on someone making everything explicit to you. We're talking about Max Carson, Mr. Girl. First of all, yeah, there are implicit messages. Yes. But implicit boundaries, no. That you're there are, you can communicate a boundary without being very direct. Like someone goes to kiss you and you pull back. It's saying, I don't want to be kissed. That's a boundary. That was not what happened here. You're bringing your own baggage and insecurity into this. You're the guy that when you go in for a kiss, no matter what, you're probably gonna think you fucked it up, no matter what. Unless she's like super fucking horny or whatever, like you're gonna be constantly paranoid, and you're projecting that onto me in my situation here. Boundaries like this in this relationship are explicit. There's no reason not to be. Also, online the stakes are low too. In person, like this like writing a letter is different from like like sending somebody a message online, the stakes are way lower than going in for a kiss. Way lower. And going in for a kiss, the stakes are low. Unless you persist against all communication. This, yeah, so I guess the stakes are high if you fail. But yeah, the stakes are not very high in online interaction like this at all. Only high in terms of the audience. Okay, but not in terms of my relationship with Max, which is what we're talking about. Okay, let's go to the so if you really, really want me to keep engaging with Wordle here, Wordbird, I keep calling him Wordle. You want me to behave towards Max the way a Destiny orbiter behaves towards Destiny. That has become a pathetic beta cuck, constantly tiptoeing around his undisclosed boundaries and being put in my place if I dare to challenge my role in the relationship. Maybe some people think this, but my point was just that you should stop expecting Max to care for you like a person in real life would, and avoid publicly disclosing so much about myself. Max does care about me. Deal with it. I know you are insecure, but there's no reason for me to be insecure. That's you. What am I supposed to engage with there? Emery. I'm engaging with you, Emery, by reading this. What am I supposed to engage with there? Both your current way of thinking to Mr. Girl and Destiny's Orbiter's ways of thinking or relating to Destiny are unhealthy. No, my relationship with Max is not unhealthy. If I saw, yeah, so go, like someone was joking in my chat, go to his house and kiss him, like Max. In person, I would, if I saw Max in person, the stakes would be very high. There's no, like, yeah, I would be on my best behavior. It's weird to think about. Yeah, probably going for a hug, and that would be my one test. And be yeah. I don't know if you'd want to see me in person. Maybe you'd have a boundary against that. Because it would risk our relationship becoming more personal. Yeah. I can see that. Which is sad. Because the reason the risk would exist is because he wouldn't be able to hold his own boundaries. Which is sad. Okay. Let's continue. But if it were the other way around, nobody would bat an eye. It's disturbing that the more I grow into my own, the more I'm dismissed as if I'm being disingenuous. I'm getting used to it. at the end of the day, charisma is charisma, and you'll keep coming back for another suck. I don't know why you're seeing any of this as charisma or you coming into your own. Okay, so here we go. This, as I alluded to earlier, is specifically the type of online critical engagement, criticism, feedback with someone else that I really don't like, and I have a very strong boundary. He can say it, but I'm not going to engage with it. It's extremely unhealthy. Extremely unhealthy. If I were to engage with this, it would absolutely be self-harm because I know that it would not be good for me to do. It would be really bad for me. Be bad for me. Mentally, bad for my mental health. I don't know why you're seeing any of this as charismatic or you coming into my own. So I tell him that if I'm giving myself permission to be charismatic, I'm coming into my own. I feel more confident. He's saying, I don't know why you see yourself as coming into your own, or I don't know where you're seeing any charisma. What am I supposed to say to that? How am I supposed to engage with that? What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to argue and try to defend myself? No, I am charismatic, bucko. No. Defending that at all is incredibly fucked up. I'm not going to engage with that. Continue. It just seems like you have fairly poor self-esteem. We're talking about you. I am comfortable having this conversation on stream, posting this fucking shit publicly for all these people to fucking dog on me and shit. This is you this is you that it's coming from. Or maybe you don't like me for another reason, and you are creating this narrative as an example for that. But you're putting me down by telling me that I have low self-esteem. I'm very limited in my knowledge of my internal drives, as if you know better. What do you think? If that is the case, I'm willing to engage with, if you tell me what you think my drive is, then at least I can engage with that. But you're just telling me that I don't know my internal drives. That can only be you. It annoys people because these things are paired with you acting like you're an acron of mental health with perfect knowledge of your motivations. No, I'm not an acron of mental health with perfect knowledge of my motivations. I'm telling you what I know about myself and what I am doing and how it is helping me. I'm getting rid of these people-pleasing mental blocks. And it is like they would stop me in the middle of a conversation and my mind would start going blank because I'm people-pleasing people. And it would prevent me from being charismatic. I would stop myself from being charismatic because I'm trying to people-please. I would stop myself from continuing my fucking train of thought. It would made me dumber. And I am getting rid of that shit. And it's making me smarter. It's making me more focused. Making me more productive. It's just helping me in all these ways, okay? I'm not an acron of mental health, but if you see that as a thing that is mentally healthy, then you disagree with me about what? What is it that you disagree with? You're just dismissing me. You're dismissing me, and so the only way that I can possibly fucking engage with this is to try to reassert myself to you, as if I have something to prove to you. No, I do not have something to prove to you. And that's why I in my reply here, I tell you that I'm not going to engage with you. Confidence isn't confidence if it's paired with virtue, or if it isn't paired with virtue or skill. It's arrogance. I don't think that's true. I mean, it just sounds like you don't respect confidence that's not paired with virtue or skill. And you're also telling me that you don't think I'm virtuous and you don't think that I have any skills. Fuck you. How am I supposed to respond to that? Emery? Hope you can reconsider and question some of your assumptions here. You want me to question? It's literally gaslighting. You just want me to doubt myself and my own sanity. Emery, this is what you want me to engage with. How do I engage with that? Okay, so here's my response. Clearly, neither me or Max agree with you with what you think would be healthier, because neither of us are doing that, because he's wrong. Max replied, you are presenting a counterfactual claim about our relationship. The interaction you're seeing between us is making you insecure, and you're assuming a lot of shit that's not true. There is no implicit message that I was misunderstanding. So, like, look, actually, so this, I give him a bulleted list of responding to all 4 of his points. Okay? There's no implicit message that I was misunderstanding. By implicit message, you're implying some boundary that Max has not made. I explained why this would be abusive, and you're not engaging with it. You're considering previous comments. I don't think you understand boundaries. I don't agree that I should stop expecting Max to care for me like a person I in real life would, or that I should avoid publicly disclosing so much about myself. Nice chatting with you. So I just don't agree. That's the best I can do to engage with that point. 4, I don't engage in this type of insane personal conversation where you try to rationalize why you don't like me using the opposite of whatever I say. Considering that last point, feel free to reply, but don't expect a response. Because I'm not going to read it. Because I don't want to subject myself to it. You have shown me that I don't trust you anymore, and I do not think it's healthy for me to be doing this. So that's a boundary. That's not very virtuous. What? Setting boundaries is not virtuous? See, like, so this is the thing. This is why I titled the post. This is why I titled the stream. Teaching Destiny fans how about boundaries, whatever the fuck. I don't know if you're a Destiny fan. I mean, there's plenty of people that don't know boundaries. Apparently, this person is not a Destiny fan. So I titled it that because the reason that this subreddit is known for being so toxic is because it's full of trolls from Destiny. And Max's audience was inherited from Destiny. Well, this person is not a Destiny fan. They are surrounded by Destiny fans who are trying to be abusive and hurtful on purpose. That's just the culture that's going on here. Setting boundaries, I think, is virtuous. Virtuous in that, I don't know what explicit virtue it is, but in that people don't know how to do it, and me doing it publicly is healthy for people to see. I think that when people set boundaries, people often get dismissed as being soy because people often set boundaries when they are upset. So let's say that you make me upset on Twitter and I block you, and then you can be like, see, got him. I win. This guy blocked me. No. Blocking you is good. If they do not want to deal with you or respond to you, see your posts, that is a healthy boundary, and that is a healthy, good thing to do, and that is virtuous. And more people should be willing to do it and stop subjecting themselves to self-harm and abuse. So yeah, Ricky, you say you don't watch Destiny. I figured you probably don't. I don't know. But I'm definitely comparing you to Destiny. I'm not really interested in this anymore, this part. Considering that last point, feel free to reply, but don't expect a response. This is that other guy. There's a lot of guys, but these two guys came up. This is the problem, though. You write your heartfelt message for all this sub to see. Then you claim not to care what the audience thinks or feels about it. Then you write a follow-up complaining about the insane criticisms. Actually, no, it was responding to the insane criticisms. And my response might very well be a complaint. Deal with it. Then you give curt dismissal to genuine attempts to engage. It was not an engagement with anything I said. There was nothing for me to engage with. He was wrong about Max having implicit boundaries that weren't there, that weren't said. That was wrong. Max does not. He was wrong. Let's go over this. There was no implicit message. Neither me or Max agrees with him about what he thinks about our relationship. I don't think he understands how boundaries work because he thinks that I'm supposed to believe there's a boundary here. There isn't one. And that I should hold this boundary that isn't even being set. That's not how boundaries work. That's how being mentally ill works. And he's telling me that I should stop expecting Max to care about me like a person. How do I engage with that? And then he starts telling me that I shouldn't feel confident about myself and that I shouldn't feel confident in myself. I don't understand what you think this charisma is. You are not confident because I don't think you're virtuous or have any skill. So you're just arrogant because I don't respect your confidence. So reconsider yourself. So what you're doing, you're doing right here, Mr. Whatever the fuck airplane. You're trying to get me because I set a boundary, and you're saying that my boundary is wrong and I shouldn't have it. Even though you guys are so concerned with Max's boundaries, you're so concerned with me pushing Max's boundaries that don't even exist. And now I set a boundary, clear as day, right in front of you. And you are now trying to get me to undermine my own boundary. You're trying to tell me that I'm wrong for setting it. Okay? So because I wrote this post, then my dismissal to a genuine attempt to engage is unacceptable behavior. What do you want from this audience? You claim not to want the mockery. You're hostile to sincerity. No, I'm hostile to abuse. And I think that Wordbird 9, compared to a lot of the other people, is very sincere. And that's why I was so frustrated with them. Because it's why I was more eager to engage with them. Doesn't make it not abusive. That doesn't mean it wouldn't be me self-harming to engage with that. To engage with somebody telling me that I need to rethink myself, that they don't respect my confidence, they don't think I'm virtuous, they think that I am not skillful. They just telling me like all these personal. How am I supposed to engage with that? There's no way to engage with that that's healthy in any way at all. You say you don't engage with this type of insane personal conversation. But what actually was the nature of the conversation you wanted to have? If it wasn't with replies like the one above, what on earth did you want? First of all, I expected replies like the one above. The conversations that I'm willing to have are ones that are not harmful to me. Ones that are forthcoming. Like, so if he was talking about what he was bringing into it from his own point, then I'd be more willing to talk about it. Like, your post makes me feel like this. Not, you should not feel confident the only way I could engage with that in a healthy way is if I was like trained like a therapist and I knew how to have extremely good boundaries and ways to protect myself from that affecting me. Jesus Christ. Let's go, baby. My lips are dry. Somebody says, if you expected mean replies, then why are you fucking falling to pieces like a sugar cookie being blasted by a fire hose? I set a boundary. I expected them. It doesn't mean... Like, I'm here talking about it because I think it's worth talking about. Does that mean I have to be able to not be upset? No, it does make me upset. Why does me being upset invalidate me in any way? This is why you seem like a Destiny fan, a DGGer. It's not just Destiny and DGG. Like, there are other communities like this. Me being upset does not invalidate anything that I have to say. Opening myself up to become upset is okay. But especially it's okay if I am able to set boundaries when I need to. And I'm telling you why I need to set a boundary, how that functions, why that is healthy, why it would be unhealthy for me to engage with that. And maybe somebody may be able to learn something from that. Oh. You being upset doesn't invalidate you. You posting a love letter to a Z tier internet celebrity famous for abusing his girlfriend is dumb and gross. LOL. Yeah, see, I respect that a lot more because your comment there is more forthcoming about where you're coming from. You're just insulting me, and that I can deal with. You can insult me, but you're not framing it as like personal advice as if you care about me. And I appreciate that very much. If you have a problem with my boundary, no amount of worming will make me take it down. Your logic is the same logic that that dictates that if a woman posts nudes, then she is asking to fuck. So, like, I post this online. That means me not engaging with something in the replies and setting a boundary. Like, what did I expect? Moron. You look stupid because you can't engage with this. No. It's a boundary. That's fine, but the question I asked was, what conversation do you want to have? Not specifically with me, with this audience. I wanted to respond. What am I responding to? Yeah, I'm not responding to this question here. I just stopped engaging. My man here has formed so many boundaries, he built himself a prison by the sounds of it. No, it was one boundary. And somebody setting a boundary is the fucking... People are like... is the fucking point of mockery for so many people. Once you do something that forces someone to set a boundary, it's like you won on the internet. Me making this post, I wanted to see this shit because we should talk about this. Somebody setting a boundary is a good thing. My man here has formed so many boundaries, he built himself a prison by the sounds of it. It's one fucking boundary, bitch. So I respond to that. I wanted to respond to the insane reframing of my relationship with Mr. Girl, which both me and him disagree with. I didn't really know what to expect as responses. The majority are just insults. The rest are complete autistic fixations on specific things I said, attempting to reframe it as something else without engaging with my framing at all. It's the definition of bad faith to refuse to engage with me and continually reframe everything I say at all times. And then they start again. See, like the artistic fixation on a specific thing. Okay, I wanted to respond to the insane reframing of my relationship with this girl. Okay, but then the conversation about how to reframe your relationship was the one Wordbird was trying. No, he was not. Wordbird was telling me that I need to feel insecure if Max doesn't post a long response to my post, because that implicitly to him means that he's setting a boundary and telling me that if I continue to talk to him in such a way that then he's going to stop replying, which is not true. So you're lying. Like you're making shit up. So like it's like to engage with a lot of this shit is like it's like engaging with a schizophrenic person. And you're like, let's walk to the door, and they're like, there's no door. You're like, what? I know you're blind, but I just told you. There's a door in front of us. We're about to walk right through it. See, if we take 3 steps this way, you can just trust me. There's a door there. We're going to walk through it. And then they'll be like, actually, there isn't a door there. It's actually behind us. And you're a fucking moron. And then you're like, wait, no, it's a door in front of us. And then you just deny everything you say and then redefine everything you say and say, no, because I know you're a moron, and I know that you don't even know what a door frame is. Can you explain to me what a door frame is? Because I know for a fact that a door frame is definitively something that's always behind you. And then I'll be like, okay, I think a door frame is when you have like some strong wood boards that encapsulate the space that a door takes in a wall. So there's an opening that's usually rectangle shaped like the door, and the door frame is strong wood surrounding that to support it, and it's usually got hinges on it for a door. And you're like, see, you don't understand what a door frame is. You're insane. That's what it's like to engage with somebody that denies everything that you're saying, tells you you don't know what you're talking about, you're wrong, about facts that are provably the case. Max responded to this post and told me what it was. Part of the schizophrenic worldview of many of our members here is that everyone is secretly a sociopath. So no amount of explaining yourself will work because you'll be assigned sociopathic motivations no matter what. The best you can do, blah, blah, blah. He's saying that these people do not understand genuine warmth, and that they believe that anything that I do is an alternative thing where it's a manipulative ploy. In the case of Wordbird, it's an insecurity where he thinks that he thinks that Max's response was a manipulative ploy to force me to set a boundary for him instead of him setting it himself. None of this is the case. It's all false. And from like the horse's mouth even, it doesn't matter. Presenting an alternative, counterfactual reality that is my reality. To engage with that, I just have to keep explaining what a door frame is to someone who keeps defining that a door frame is something behind you, like something completely wrong. And then, but if it's something personal, it's not as blasé as defining a door frame. Like if it's something personal, it's like talking about my own personal growth, what I'm doing. It's very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. And I'm glad that I can talk about that because I made this post. It's a conversation I wanted to be having. I not necessarily, like I was hoping some people would engage with it in a more productive way. Some people did, but didn't have a lot to say about it. Like one person said, "Oh, I thought this is interesting. This changes my my opinion on a lot of things." That's all they said. And I was like, wow, that compared to everyone else, I was like, wow, that really means a lot. But it still is like not a lot of people. I don't think nobody that I even noticed whatsoever engaged in a way that felt productive at all. Someone says, that's the argument made by DGG. And then in quotes, Max himself says he is X thing, which is often argued against when Smeth hears this. He won't engage with that argument. Yeah. Another thing that I was thinking that I should have like said this one of the first things. Now that this has all been laid out, and it's so obnoxious. The thing about this is it's taking, hold on, I'm going to get some more. It's taking something emotional intimate, vulnerable, and then making it really a fucking autistic, baby. And the responses are so fixated on specific sentences where then a paragraph is written about that one sentence and how one word is defined incorrectly. You're responding to an intimate fucking emotional expose type thing, and you're being hyper autistically critical line by line. And then you're forcing someone to defend themselves autistically defend themselves about their own emotional vulnerability and shit. It's maddening, and it's why the second post that I made is way longer and way more artistic, because they're forcing that behavior, and to engage with it at all, it makes you more fucking autistic and insane. It's intimate because it is an intimate look into my thoughts, and it's intimate between. It's like literally something the first letter to Max was something I was having trouble expressing at all, and so I managed to put it into words and then post it. So it is intimate in that way, but not in a intimate between two people way. Okay. Yeah, people can be intimate in public, I think. Anyway. Okay. I'm looking at you, baby. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. Oh shit, who's that? I'm looking at him. But he's looking at him. And I'm looking at you. Looking at you. And you. Yeah, baby. Okay, whatever. So that concludes our mission has now come to a close, or whatever. It's exhausting for me. I don't know if it's exhausting for you. Probably not. You know, I gotta tell you something about myself. I never argue. I just explain why I'm right. Yeah. Let me give you a better look. Yeah, that's what I thought. I never argue. I just explain why I'm right, baby. And isn't that what it's all about here on the internet? I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to give you some good feedback. Because you posted it, so if you don't accept my feedback, you're an asshole moron. You don't know, you're like kind of crazy. So I'm just giving you feedback, and my feedback is that, you know, your relationship isn't what you think it is. It's not what what the other person said it is either. I think that you should be more insecure. I don't think that you're confident. I don't think you're virtuous, or I don't think you're confident because I don't think you're virtuous. It's not that I'm just telling you I don't think you're confident. It's because I don't think that you're virtuous, and I don't think that you're skillful at all. So that's why I don't think you're confident. It's just arrogance. And I don't understand why you think any of these things about yourself. You know, I think you should reconsider. Yeah. And you are being abusive to this person that doesn't say that or doesn't think you're abusing them. This person that's calling me a sociopath for saying this, you are abusing them. That's, you know, I'm just trying to help, you know, or I'm just trying to give feedback. DGG. And if you're not in DGG, whatever the fuck you're from, it sucks. Some of that music was from Rayman 2. Some of that music was from Claw 1997. A very great game from my childhood. Spent a lot of time playing it. I love it. There's a remake. I never played it. Music's not as good. On the 13th, I'm going to be moderating a debate between Elder Drazi and Counterpoints about polyamory. I will see you there on the 13th. On the 17th, I'm going to be on the Alex Kurtzgen project, drinking beers, and making ladies cry tears, because I'm a lady killer, baby. And there's probably going to be some more things scattered in between. I'll see you then. But until then, take a nice dose of whatever the fuck you take to get through this shit. And go back to bed and leave me the fuck alone and come back next time and then come on my face and then whatever. Go through the whole fucking cycle all over again. Have a good night. Yeah, I'll try to consider more IRL, but I want to travel to do that. I have an idea. I want to go on a cruise. Anyway.